Well, real quick, I guess since I didn't get to see everybody, it was a disappointing loss, only because I thought we played well enough in moments to do a better job. We got in foul trouble. That created a big problem for us. We're still going to have some times, and we got to learn how to play with these different lineups, and it's going to take a little time, whether I like it or not. But I felt we had a chance to win a game that, in a lot of ways, we deserved to win. The last play, if anybody cares, it wasn't. There was some mistakes made, but it started with a slip on the floor by Langford. That wasn't his fault. Playing catch up, and guys in the back line just did not rotate over. And it was a tough way to end a game that I felt when we were up 5 late. We missed 2 great looks, and that was the ball game. We got beat by a good team. I think we led 2/3 of the game, and it gives us something to build on, whether I like it or not. To be involved in the Champions Classic is, to me, still one of the greatest honors for Michigan State University, and our basketball program. I saw an ad that talked about the winningest programs and all the Final Fours and the national championships, and we hung in there with most of them, other than the wins. And I looked at it, and I think there's the number 1, 2, and 4, something most winningest programs, and we were 30th in that stat. And I said, well, that's not that good. And I thought about it, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. So there's a lot of good things coming out of that. It's a great showcase for college basketball. It'll still be one of the biggest nights of the season as far as coverage from both media, print and television, and that's what I'm selling to my kids. There's been some great games in the Classic. We've had some great games, very few poor games. In fact, of the 5 we played, we're 3-2, along with Kentucky and Duke. I think are both 3-2. So we've held our own as far as that goes. And as I said, there's a lot to build on, and we're going to try to build on it. As far as Kentucky goes, obviously extremely talented. The number 1 recruiting class for 5 years. They're always bringing in great freshmen. And those freshmen have had a ton of exposure, and rightfully so. But right now, it's a couple sophomores that are a sophomore and a senior that are really helping them. Briscoe is their leading scorer at 19 points a game. Guy's not shooting it very well, but can score inside. As a 6'3" guard, he's done an unbelievable job. And Willis is their 6'9", 6'10" perimeter player, who's one of the better three-point shooters, a little bit like the Markkanen kid that we just played against Arizona, a big kid who can step on the floor and make threes. You get by those guys, and the kid Fox has been a one-man fast break. And I think he leads a team 8 deep with 8 very, very, very solid players. And Fox and Monk are 2 guys that are great guards. One's a slashing point guard who can get it from one end to the other in blink of an eye, and the other is a shooter who's got a great mid-range game in Monk. So, I'd say that our biggest concerns are transition defense, defending without fouling. They go to the free throw line, I think, 34 or 5 times a game, which is almost a joke. But they do a great job of getting there. They forced 23 turnovers a game, and that was a problem for us in the last game. And I think it was more from guys not playing with each other than it was guys making just bad plays. Some of the turnovers were I wouldn't say sloppy, but I would say sloppy. They're bounce passes instead of chest passes, but guys thinking a guy was going to curl and a guy popped out, things like that it's just going to take some time to get used to playing with so many different and new players. I think it's a great opportunity for us to go there against a very quality team and bounce back. My big worry is always what we do inside. Even though our guards have not shot the ball real well, we'll play better there. It's the foul trouble inside that is just a never-ending concern right now, one that we'll be keeping an eye on, and that's why we're having some trouble fouling. We changed our ball screen defense some to try to help keep our inside guys out of trouble, which puts more pressure on the guards. So we're going to try to make a couple adjustments to that too this week. Questions?
Tom, it's only one game in. Are you concerned, though, about your guys getting to the foul line, more penetration, maybe not settling for jump shots?
Yeah, a little bit. I think we've had some good shots that we've just missed, but, that would be like saying, are you upset that, Brady's throwing 40 passes a game? I mean, you are what you are, and we're not a great inside team yet because Nick has got to get better to get in there and get to the foul line. Miles has to learn how to post some, take advantage of that. I wouldn't say we have a great penetration type team, but Cassius is going to help that a lot. We were up 18 points, whatever we were up. We had three guys sitting on the bench, and it was Cassius, Langford, and Harris, and those guys I think can do more. I think Josh is going to add a lot to us. He's the one guy that can do that, and he's going to add a lot. But, hadn't played in 2.5 weeks, practiced a couple days, and then got in foul trouble right off the bat and was sitting. Where I say it was a good learning situation, it was that Cassius was in there for 3 minutes, and supposed to be in his gap, and the guy spin dribbles, and he's going to take a chance, and he goes and fouls him 20 feet from the basket. And he couldn't understand why I was upset about the play. And the reason I was upset, because 2 minutes later, he got his second foul on a legitimate foul. And that's what these guys got to learn, you got to learn that in college basketball. And the way they're calling them right now, we're back to last year where everything's touch foul. I mean, there's a lot of people getting in there, so you could say, well, why don't you take advantage of the rule? Well, you have to have the personnel to take advantage. If Winston plays more, which he will, Langford plays more, which he will, I think that those are two guys that can get in there and penetrate and are both very good free throw shooters. That would help us.
Tom, how important is Kenny Goins going to be? You talked about the inside and Nick, but how important is Kenny going to be? You got a little scare with him going down the other night.
Yeah, the scare was he just slipped. For some reason, that floor was slippery. Sometimes that happens in those settings, and the floor was slippery, and he slipped, kind of banged his knee. I mean, I know that's not good, but that's a lot better than twisting it. And so it was a minor scare, but one that has worked out fine. I mean, he's practiced full go. He's doing everything. Getting Nick better is going to be a big part. He wasn't bad in that first game. I mean, we did face a team that presented some problems because they had a 6-7 footer that could go out and shoot. They played 3 7-footers at one time. There were some issues that we had overcome there. I thought my coaches did a good job. We adjusted on how we were going to cover some things and really worked out to the advantage. The problem was a couple foolish turnovers that led to touchdowns, and the difference in free throw shooting, as Hondo said, 27-9. That made a big difference. So turnovers for touchdowns are something I talked about since the day I got here. You can have turnovers. If you have them for touchdowns, it's a problem. And when you think of another minor problem, we had a couple of key guys miss like total, I think, of 6 we call layups. And you just need one of those to go and you win the game. So somehow I have to start figuring out that, we played an 8th-ranked team in the country, led it 2/3 of the way, had a chance to win it. We got to be doing more right than I feel, but I didn't feel good after that game because of our inside play or lack thereof, and not going to change immediately. It's just not going to change immediately. We just got to keep getting better. We have to keep getting more productive. What would really help us is if those guards hit some shots. You know, both Aaron and Matt McQuaid got to shoot better, and I think getting Cassius more minutes will help him tremendously, or help us tremendously, because he can shoot it.
You mentioned a few years ago, back when you played in Germany, and you always talk about Gary Harris having that, that deer in the headlights look. Aside from the mistakes and all that, did you see any of that really that night? And how much does it help, having gotten this one out of the way, when you go into kind of another big sort of environment?
I didn't see it. I didn't see it with Miles. I didn't see it with Josh. Cassius a little bit maybe. I didn't see it with Nick, but even Cassius, I think it's just because he got in foul trouble. So that was encouraging too, that I didn't see that same look. We just didn't. We need to get a little more from our veterans, and we need to make some shots and not have the foolish turnovers. I mean, it sounds pretty simple, but I'd rather coach that we got to get better at turnovers than I would other things. So hopefully we'll improve in that area.
Tom, when you talked afterward about the minutes with Miles, I guess looking at the dispersion afterward, were you kind of happy with where things were, especially with Kenny? I think Kenny got like 26 minutes. Is that more than you wanted?
Kenny was pretty good, 25, 26. I'd like to get to the point where we can get Nick up to 20, and then maybe get 5-6 minutes where we're playing bigger. So we got Miles, Nick, and Kenny all in there together. That's one thing I'd like to see. Cassius can't play 10 minutes, and Josh can't play 12 minutes. I thought, for the most part, we got to get a little bit lower minutes for Miles until he gets a feel for everything, because now he's thinking and working, and it's a lot to ask of a kid. If we can get it down into the 32, 33, get 4 or 5 minutes off that, get him a little bit of a break here and there, I think he'll be a better player and we'll be better. So I really wasn't happy with the minutes. I was happy with Kenny's, okay with Nick's. Did what we had to do with Miles, but I think on the perimeter, I got to do a much better job. But we were handcuffed by those fouls for part of it too, and that was part of the problem.
Was there anything about the game that positively surprised you? Maybe a real concern you had, Tom, that after watching the film, you're like, wow, maybe I overworried a little bit.
Yeah, good question, because, it wasn't just the start, but the start was about we defended well, we executed well, we ran well. We did a lot of good things, in that 9-minute stretch or 8 minutes, whatever it was, that we didn't score. If you look at the lineup we had in there, it was not a scoring man's lineup. And again, honestly, that's why I love football. I hate a sport that eliminates players from playing. I'm starting to hate it more. Even when I watched the Indiana game, I didn't like the fact that the best players were on the bench. So that is something that you're going to see us very cautious of, even in a game like this, where put your head down, drive, try to get to the basket is the nature of it. So I was disappointed in that stretch, but if I looked at the whole game, if we scored 10 points in that stretch, we scored 72, 74 points in a game, and in a game like that against a good team, that would have been enough points to win. So I was pleased by the way we moved the ball, the way we ran the ball. I was pleased with the way we guarded things, because we changed some things in the last couple of days when we realized Langford could hopefully play a little more, and watching a little more film on Arizona, since they had new guys and guys that weren't their key players last year, now in key spots. We made some adjustments, and our team rallied to that pretty well.
Tom, how much different is a challenge Kentucky personnel-wise? A little more length maybe and speed than Arizona. How much different is that to kind of?
I don't know if there's not much more length. Maybe a couple more. 3 7-footers, a 6'9" guy, and Pender. That's pretty big, but more athletic. I'd say, and just more talented players. But, right now Kentucky struggled to shoot the ball from the perimeter. And that's why they're just driving it, and they're getting to the free throw line. I mean, you get, I think, 37 in one game, 33, 34. That's a lot of free throws, and that means there's a lot of guys going on the bench. So I think they're different because they're more athletic, and they got a point guard that can get it from 0 to 60 faster than most cars. And Fox is real incredible in that area.
I know he played 12 minutes, but no, Josh responding pretty well to the hamstring so far.
No issue at all. It's practice full go since, so it was just like they thought, it would just take some time, but knock on wood, it's been no problem. And he will help us a lot because what we're struggling to do is guard the ball a little bit, and he is probably, I think going to be one of those lockdown defenders like a Bell used to be, and different players like that could really get after it. He has some length, he has some size, he has high IQ, and he can, he made some things happen offensively. He made some drives, different things that he did. So I'm looking forward to his minutes going way up along with Cassius's.
I just want to ask you real quick. I know we've asked a lot about Gavin. Has there been any update? Is he going to not have surgery? Do you have?
No, he had surgery.
Oh, he did?
He's as you see him. I saw him yesterday, and I said, "Are you playing next week?" He was almost walking after he had but it's. I still think we're a long ways away, but I don't think he's been ruled out of anything yet. But it's just, even though he's walking, that's surgery. That it's going to be. I don't plan on him having back till the Big Ten season, if then. That's where I'm at with him. Nobody's given me any, 3 months, but nobody's given me any 4 weeks to 6 weeks either.
That's what 35 years in
And
the
I
business.
thought I had problems.
That's what 35 years in television will get you. I know you hate turnovers for touchdowns.
Yeah.
But if you're going to run like you appear you're going to run, and even Billis and the guys were talking about this on the telecast, don't turnovers come with the territory, or don't you accept that?
Yeah, they do. But in all honesty, our turnovers we're going to have more. We've always had more than most teams. And, it's because we're trying to run all the time. But 18 is too many, and the ones for touchdowns are ridiculous. In other words, a guard to forward entry pass, guy picks off, goes down, lays it up. Those, I think there were 5 or 6 of those. You think about it. We held a team, very talented offensive team, to 38% field goal shooting. And if you subtract those 5 for 5 baskets, I guess one of them, they missed the layup, got the rebound, put it up, and got a 3-point play, so I wish they would have made that one. But, you're holding teams into the mid-30s, which is phenomenal. And I didn't think our defense was phenomenal by any means, but, it was good enough. How you turn it over, it is no different in football. That's why I use the term, you don't look at basketball as a turnover and they go down and score a basket. But in football, if the guy picks it off and runs for a touchdown, that's like criminal, that's not good. But if that happens more than once or twice in basketball, it's not good either, because most games are going to be won by 2, 4, or 6 points. So I can accept a few more turnovers than most teams because we are trying to run on makes and misses. I can't accept the casual passes, and I said, there were twice we were going to curl it, and the guy stepped out, and that's just not having a feel for one another yet. And some of that's going to happen because not only haven't we been able to, you got to remember something about this team, not making an excuse for them or me, but, you got Kenny and Matt did not touch, one of the negatives I said to my staff, I said, Matt hasn't gotten a lot stronger in my mind. And I was mad about it, and I'm talking to my strength coach about it, and then Dwayne Stevens says, Coach, he wasn't allowed to touch a weight all summer because of the sports hernia. We had two guys that were out that whole summer, so none of these guys have played together. And that is one of the issues you have. You have more turnovers when there's not a familiarity with the different players on a team.
So one of the things I did notice is that you guys were cutting out really well
Yeah.
on the blocks. How much of an emphasis is that right now with you guys with an undersized lineup like that?
Well, it is very critical, and you're right. Going back to Hondo's question, we rebounded, ended up 34-34. It ended up tied with arguably one of the biggest teams we'll play. And so we did do a good job in that area. I think Miles has to rebound even better than he has. He has to get to the offensive boards even more with his athleticism, and that's just something that's going to take some time. But the cutouts in this game will be critical because this team, what Adebayo is, they got two guys that are monsters. One's 6'10", 265, one's 7 foot, 255, and Humphreys. And those two guys are just physical specimens, kind of like the team we played a couple years ago, only bigger as far as that goes. And so the cutouts are going to be, it'll be interesting to see how it gets called. The new rules now where you're not allowed to displace somebody in the post. It'll be an eventful night.
Tom, you've gone against Cal and a number of guys over the years, and obviously you got Miles over him this year. What makes him and that program difficult to recruit against?
Well, we've gotten, you can say, did you say we've gone against them, or we've gotten some guys? We've gotten one or two over quite a few years, but they've got a niche going for him. The niche is that he's done a great job of captivating the one and done, and you can argue that some of those players could have gone other places. I do think Kel does a great job of disciplining them. He's got this team playing as hard defensively as any team I've seen. He benched a guy last night. He's got enough of them, that you can bench one or two or three or four or five and still field a pretty good team. But it's a great program. It's got history. They've got great facilities. They've got great fan base. He's a very good coach, and they've got very good players. So, and they've got the thing of guys going on to the pros. So there's a lot of positive things that it's hard to recruit, and that's one thing I do appreciate about Miles. He had his chance to go there, and I think he'll be jacked to play in this game. Well, as he told you, I don't want you to think I'm, especially after a loss, that I'm not going to have any roundtables, because I'm not going to change that. It's just that trying somehow to get a meal in or something in this schedule here for these 3-week period, the way it is on the travel and what we've done. And if you can get me through November, I'll promise December we'll have longer roundtables. Just get me through this month. I'll close by saying that I'm really looking forward to this game. I think this will be one of the best teams we've played in years, and I'm anxious to see how we compete. But make no mistake, we did compete in Hawaii, and we did a lot of good things. The problem is the bad things led directly to baskets, fouls, and turnovers. And those two things you can't defend. And I think our execution on offense was not as good the second half. Our screening in that was not as good. Some of it was personnel we played. And remember this, I always say this, it really makes it difficult for our bigs. I did not think we screened as well the second half. When we had a couple guys in foul trouble, now you play a little differently. And we're going to be saddled with that until we figure out how to move some guys around. And the Langford thing, I think, is going to really help us getting him back in there every day in practice and being able to play him at different positions. But I still like this team. I like them a lot. I think we got as good a chance as anybody to win on tomorrow night. It's going to be, we're not going to win by fouling. We're not going to win by turning the ball over. Those will be two critical things. And taking bad shots, because they can get it from one end to the other better than any Kentucky team that we've played. And hats off to John on that. He's got two guards that can really go, and they're going. So it'll be a track meet. There will not be, I don't see a lot of half-court game in this game. And yet with Kansas and Duke and Michigan State and Kentucky, there's not a better place I'd rather be than Madison Square Garden. Take care, guys.
He got it.